I'm glad it's working. Is the audio working? I remember to unmute myself this day. I think I have. I'm a bit short, aren't I? Where am I doing down here? Hang on. Here we go. Down low. Sorry about that, everyone. Totally professional here. Totally professional. There we go. No, now we cut off the hat. No, this is getting worse. This is getting much worse. Cool. There we go. Great. I can see myself. I can't see you. This is going great. Yeah. So I've gone in from work, put a different shirt on, put the hat on, just realised I had the wrong streaming key. I've cut my left. Oh no, which hand's coming up? Okay, right. I need to get more space on this. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Hang on. There we go. Make that a bit wider. Yeah, there we go. I can get up all the way up to there. I can have more arm space. There we go. Cool. Yeah, got in, changed shirt, put the hat on, tried streaming accidentally on Twitch, didn't stream on Twitch, which was good. Near miss. Could have been weird, having told everyone I'll be on YouTube and then turn up on Twitch instead. And as I'm doing this, whenwallets.com pops up. So I am literally finding this out as I go live. So tell me about it, everyone, because hang on. Is it literally whenwallets.com? Oh, okay, it's a okay, cool. So it's a waiting list. Cool. But yeah, super excited to see Robinhood actually making good progress on the wallets. That's amazing. It has been a bit of a wait. Oh, I need to actually tweet that I am now live. Oh, this is going well. I was going to do all the top. Live now. Cool. So, oh yeah, I'm getting used to all this YouTube stuff. I haven't really mastered any of this, as you can probably guess. Like, it's a little bit of a work in progress. Yes, so today, what are we doing today? The UI has been merged for 1.14.5. Yes, finally. I've got some testing to do on Gideon, but that's just a long-running task. Like, I just start that and leave that to do its own thing for an hour and a half. So unless you want to watch paint dry, which would be slightly more exciting at this point, we're going to skip that one. So instead, what we're going to do is look at 121. Actually, no, there's something else we can do on 114. So the smart fees. Oh, yes. Let's go back to the smart fees for 114.5. Or 1.14.x. I'm not committing to 5. So, first question. The first thing everyone, when it says smart fees, everyone thinks, is this like a smart contract? It's not. They're not that smart. Smart fees refers to intelligently estimating, or doing a semi-intelligent statistical guess of the amount of fee required to get a transaction in a specific number of blocks. This makes sense on a blockchain like Bitcoin, where your blocks are full. We have 10 times more blocks, and therefore we don't really have the same block fullness problem right now. So we haven't used smart fees. Brilliant, makes sense. Problem is, a lot of the wallet providers presume that everyone uses the same technology stack. So they're just asking our code, can you estimate the number of the fee level for this? And our code is doing a very haphazard guess, but it's not really very sensible. So I've got a patch that improves that, but I want to make it even better for 114 point whenever it goes in. So having completed the user interface on the last stream on Sunday, that's on Twitch, you're going to go find it. And having had that merged in today, when I say approval process, that it means it's gone through that approval process. Excellent champagne all round. What I want to do now is have the smart fees find the next preset fee level that is higher than the smart fee and use that. So it will never estimate lower than the smart fee, the preset fees. and it will always come up with a number that matches the user interface. So we have a consistent experience between what the user sees and what an external wallet provider sees, so that we just have a consistent result. We can then remove some of this later and make it a bit more Bitcoin-y. If we have full blocks, great. We can then look at how we solve the fee market for full blocks. I don't entirely agree with the Bitcoin model, because it is a statistical guess of... So the Bitcoin model goes, if a transaction with a transaction of a fee of X got into a block after Y blocks, then that's probably the right number. It doesn't necessarily have a concept of block fullness or its relation to the other transactions currently available. So it's not great, it's fine, but I think they were a bit more excited by the statistics than they should have been, and a bit less excited by doing an intelligent prediction. Like, if I as a human wanted to predict this, what would I do? I would go, well, I want to be in the top 10%, 20%, 30%. I would look at the range I'm in within the transaction, within the available transactions, and try to be in that same range. So if other transaction fee amounts are dropping, I don't need to pay as much because I can be proportionally higher. Don't know if that makes any sense. So we've got a whole bunch of questions coming in. AMC talking about Dogecoin. Well, they're going to go find how to accept Dogecoin. I've got a pretty good feeling I know how they're going to do that, because I've got a feeling what their technology stack is, and I'm probably going to get a call in about 2 days. But I don't know that for certain. But if I was them, I know who I'd be talking to. I know who they would then call. Yeah, that's a good point about the main Dogecoin account. Let me see if I can ask for that right now. Social. So I'm just going to the foundation. Also, do we want to tweet about whenwallets.com? Cool. I've left that to the social media experts. They will hopefully do something with that, or come back with a very good reason why we're not. Which there may be a really good reason. I don't know. This is why we have an approval process. Sohail asks when 114.5. So the big thing that I was trying to get in went in a couple of hours ago. I believe there's another one that's probably important, and I hope to then convince Patrick to do a release after that. But it is kind of down to Patrick and Mitchie and Max. It has to be a consensus of 4 people. It's not just me going, I think this looks good, let's ship it. As much as that would be a lot easier for me. Lil asked, what would the charges be if you transfer 1 million USD worth of Dogecoin? So the fees are not relevant relative to the amount. They are fixed based on the size of the transaction. Most transactions are 225-ish bytes. Don't quote me on that number. 200, 300, we'll call it. With the new fees, 0.003 Doge. So that's what, 0.06 cents, I think? Or 0.6 cents? 0.6 cents, isn't it? Less than a cent is the point. Like, typical. There are ways of making that much worse. Okay. Discord has just restarted. That's kind of creepy. I'm going to quit that. What are you doing, Discord? Yeah, it's going to be really, really super cheap. So, any more questions? Or am I going to jump into coding? I'm realizing I probably have the latency set up too high, and asking it for feedback on questions is probably going to take a while to do. And the good news is apparently the Chinese real estate market is not about to collapse today. That's also quite convenient. It looked like it's going to take everything with it. This is why, like, we can't predict things, because had I even heard of that company before the people ever went, or they may explode or implode or both, I had not. This is why I don't do predictions. Ken, I'm working the updates. That's what I'm doing. Well, I'm about to. On that note, let's jump into it. Have I got this up? I've got the VM up. There we go. Ooh, that's the wrong window. Hang on. Nope. There we go. Cool. I'm now on the right window. Right. So, development, Dogecoin, git, prune, root, prune, origin. Huh. So I'm just cleaning up some stuff that we don't need anymore, because it's all been merged. Robinhood haven't reached out, or that's a very good point. I should probably ping them and say, hey, watch out for the new fees. But hopefully, like, it's just a moderately quick change for them. Remote print origin. Okay, good. Right, git log. Origin, git, git fetch upstream. Rebase upstream 114.5 dev. Right. So what this does is it gives us useful looking smart fees. Okay, right. In fact, we should. Because I know there was a review. Fees.cp. Okay, let's look fees.h first. Okay. Yeah. One, two, three. Yeah, just doing a quick count of that. Make sure it's right. Yeah. So today. So the Doge Ethereum bridge is just about being able to use Doge in Ethereum smart contracts. It's not about adjusting the blockchain itself. So the smart fees is helping wallets integrate better with what we do. So if the wallet providers use the estimate smart fee command, they'll get a meaningful number back, which historically they haven't done. And that was done because we don't run a fee market, so we didn't think they would be using the fee market code. Turns out they do anyway. So the other question. So max fee rate. So that said, on the fees, keep in mind if some of our traffic is on the Ethereum blockchain rather than the Dogecoin blockchain, it will reduce demand on Dogecoin. So we improve the scalability, and that should impact fees rather because we're not. It means that we don't need to have a fee market because we wouldn't have as much demand. Does that make sense? Yeah, I have no idea on prices. Like, people really overestimate. Like there are people who will very happily talk about the prices of things. You're talking to someone who bought Bitcoin at $10 and sold it all at $20. Like, I'm not the one to ask for financial advice. I'm here about the technical, financial, leave to other people. I make it good. Other people worry about where it's going to go. I will say, the one thing I find amazing is the number of times I see people just trading stuff in and out of the market, and it's kind of, I just don't. Like, I trade once every 3 months, 6 months, give or take. Typically, if I have had to spend more Doge than I'm pulling in tips, I will buy some then. But otherwise, I just don't move a lot of funds around. I find it amazing how many people do actively trade in and out of the market. Undead King Test says, have you thought about doing a simultaneous cast on YouTube and Twitch? As part of the agreement with Twitch, I can't. They get an exclusivity period on anything I do that streams on Twitch. So I can't is the short answer. If I became really big enough to renegotiate that contract with Twitch, I could. But in reality, it's more likely that in a few months' time I will pick whichever platform is going best for me, basically. Scott asks, when do you expect to release the 121 update? Interesting question. So the 121 update, I think getting it through the normal release process is going to be a very extended one. There's a lot of stuff to check. I'm hoping I can convince the Foundation devs to do a much faster check of my code just for anything really crazy, and we can do an experimental release so the people who are super eager or need the new features can grab it, and then the version that most people run stays 1.14 for a while. The answer to these is kind of, well, so at the moment, I'm trying to think what I'm allowed to tell you at the moment. We are continuing to do. The Foundation has lawyers and accountants looking into basically what our tax debt is, because we don't want to spend money we basically need to pay to a government, and there's a lot of questions about which government. But I'm hoping we'll start employing people imminently, and then that will give us much more resourcing to be able to review 121, because I think Commandy, if Commandy's here. Commandy's been playing with, we have a 121 that basically works, but it needs to be better, because if we release it and lots of people start using it and it has a problem that is incompatible with 1.14, we can get ourselves into a really big mess where it's not ready enough to release to everyone, but there may be a difference between it and 1.14. So do people downgrade again, and how does that process work? And yeah, so I have to be very careful with not rushing it, and there isn't a QA team at the moment to be able to review this stuff. I mean, as I said, the code basically works. It's just getting it tested enough, as is always the problem we have. Right, so this is compiling. I just realised halfway through that we need to make another small change. -s use max fee rate as the cap on fees we the cap on fees we use when analyzing smart fees. Oh, hey, Commandy. Cool. So the argument with Doge is that it is valuable for moving value between people. Like, it is a payment system. Trying to think how to do this, because I don't want to use a double the way that I have in two different places. I think it'll do. Git status, git add, git commit. Am I being too clever with this? I feel like I'm being too clever with this. I'm not currently streaming on Twitch unless something's gone horrifically wrong with my setup. He says, no, is he checking that? No, because the thing is, so anything that I do on Twitch, it has to be exclusive to Twitch for 24 hours. So I can't stream on multiple platforms. There are streamers who can negotiate that license agreement with Twitch. But when you're too small to negotiate at that scale, they just give you a standard license and you sign it or you don't, basically. See, fee rate. Okay. Right, is that compiled? Okay. I'm realizing that I've started this without actually making sure that it's properly okay, making sure it's actually up to date before I run it. So Andreas asks, will cloning of the Hetzner VM, so Hetzner is a cloud service provider, with the working node produce independent nodes? It should do. I mean, there's nothing that identifies a node. I mean, you end up with the same wallet, so I wouldn't, make sure you're not spending from one of these at the other. But it should work, yes. Certainly, if I'm doing stress tests of the networks, what I do is I create an image on Amazon Cloud. Don't tell my employer. But it happens to work slightly better on Amazon Cloud for what I'm doing. And I just make 6 or 7 of those. Now, I'm very careful not to copy across the wallet.dat, but I don't think that's going to make a difference. And the rest of the files are all completely just plug and play. Right, let's run that again this time. Right, so that's going to have to run in the background and collect some fee data. And then, there we go. Source, Dogecoin, nope. So the next thing we're going to do is modify this so that when it's actually doing the estimation, it produces a value in the right sort of values that we want for Doge. Process block, estimate fee. There we go. Dogecoin. Use fixed values to match the preset. Here's the UICs. It's a good way. C++ iterate enum. Cool. It's pretty dumb. Ken asks, as the Dogecoin developer, how are you impacted by the daily changes to the price of Doge? So basically not much. I have a day. So the reason I have a day job, and the upside and the downside to having a day job, is it doesn't make a big difference to me. The company I work for, as an initial equity allocation when I joined them, which to be fair I get over several years, was more than I have in Dogecoin. I think that's a good way of framing that. Like, it's not insignificant, and obviously it sucks when the market goes down, but I'm not going to struggle to pay rent next month, nor am I going to retire to a beach if it goes 10x, is the answer. Hey Magic Bungalow, how you doing? Hey Fausto Hungrier. Yeah, I'm just coding away. So we're trying to see if we can make smart fees work for 114.5, which is, hang on, estimate smart fee 1, 2. How's that? Yep. Well, it's just not giving any numbers. That's great. That's going to be fun, right? So the problem is this needs a whole bunch of data, and I think it may just take longer than I've got to get the data I really need. That's not brilliant. Okay, well let's put some debugging in this, because I'm realizing that what I've just done is going to be oh, there we go. Smart. There we go. See, how is that working? Because that shouldn't work at all. I really don't do price predictions. Like, I mean, again, keep in mind you're talking to someone who managed to miss out on the price going 100 times early this year. I'm not the right person to ask for financial advice under any circumstances. Like, there are other people who are happy to estimate where this will go, and you can listen to them. But like, I'm really not the financial advisor. And as I said, I just don't trade. Like, that's how I deal with the uncertainty. Is I just hold it for months upon months. I mean, the one bit of advice I would always give on cryptocurrency is, if you invest an amount you can forget about, that's the way I've seen work for people. But you have to be able to forget about it and not stress over it and not check it. Because the people who made millions on Dogecoin, they're the people who put some away and then didn't look at it for 5 years. That's most of them, honestly. And I know it's not the answer anyone wants, but it is the reality of these things. There we go. So Hussein says, what is the big difference about 114.4 and 114.5? So 114.5 reduces the default fees that we use. So they are now 1/100th, I think, of the previous fees. They're also not rounded, which makes them actually less than that. It fixes a user interface problem to make it a better experience in setting the fees. And this code I'm currently doing with the smart fees of the other change. Ganesh asks, why is there no in the fund Patrick Lodder? Do you mean, why are we not funding him? I don't understand the question. So, like, you know, though, if there's a payout for 114.4 or 5, we would pay out to Patrick. For 121, I have no idea what the process is for 121, actually. We probably need to start figuring out who we're paying and more, you know, earlier on, but we haven't, honestly. I mean, we're clear on Patrick got a chunk of the 1.14 payouts, right? Like, is that the question, that you were thinking he didn't get paid when everyone else got paid? We want to bring a number of devs on full time. I believe Patrick doesn't want to be involved in that, but if he did, he has my email. Please reach out. So I'm too used to Java. And in 6 months' time, the problem will be I'm too used to Go. Oh, is it just not going to do that at all then? Interesting. So it has to be an int. That's really silly. Okay, fine. It's like that then. Okay. I mean, that should work. Qt. But it's going to be a while to sort of watch that and see how that goes. RVP asks, what is giving you the most headaches on the update? It is testing. It is always testing. And it is this problem that, honestly, right after having a funded dev team, I really want a funded QA team. Because it is understanding what... We can't just test the scenarios that we would use this in. Like, I can run this and tell you that I can send you some money. I can do that. Actually, let's do that now. That's always a good demo, is actually throwing real money at this. I need to look a bit kit out. Give me a second. Slightly awkward bit where I'm trying to find actually where the heck that went to. So, console network traffic, console estimate, smart fee 2. So the problem is this fee rate -1 means it's not initialized the fee rate data yet. So that's really frustrating because I need it to. But okay, let's try receiving some funds first. Request payment, copy address. So I'm pasting this into a window you can't see, and that's quite intentional. I'd like to say I'm sorry, but I'm not. Basically, I'm going to send myself 5 Doge. Okay. Docker settings over the network now. Did you confirm that? And we'll see that coming in a second, I hope. Yeah, there we go. That's 5 Doge coming in. I'll talk about Oscar in a second. Okay, I just need to wait for that to confirm before we can do anything with it. How about 121? What is the difference on the major update? So there's a whole bunch of changes to... So the thing is, one of the reasons I'm not trying to rush it out is the people it makes a big difference to are like the exchanges, the wallet providers, the miners, like Robinhood, that sort of people who they use what's called the RPC commands. And that RPC means remote procedure call. So this is how they can have their code integrate with our code, and they get a much better interface with 121. It's also faster. Like, Commandy, how long did it take you to do a full sync of 121? Like, I remember it wasn't long. But yeah, so the reason that that you would update to that is it would give you a much faster experience. It's good for new people. All of the engineering's like got 4 years more experience behind it. But it's also a massive change set. So that's the thing. It's the platform we want to do any further developments on. So if we were introducing segregated witness, this is the base we would use for it. But we need to establish it as the baseline that everyone runs before we get too ambitious with it. So I'm just watching this number here, hopefully confirm in a second. And again, you can see this as a... Oh yeah, this is a real transaction, by the way, just to make sure you don't think I'm faking this. That's the actual transaction I just sent over there. So we're just waiting for that to confirm through. And here you can see the fee. I just used 0.06 just to get something through quickly. What I'm going to do while that runs is I'm going to do the same thing but with a testnet machine. So we can do some more testing. Oh yeah, there we go. Under 3 hours to sync 121. Oh, but still, like you can, if you have a fast enough connection, you can now sync in 3 hours. I believe that's from scratch, which I think is incredible. Like that's a much faster performance than we used to have. There we go. That's synced. Okay. So we're now hopefully going to get some data coming in. Nope, still no data. So I'm going to send this actually back to the change address that the balance went to. I'm going to send 1 Doge. Priority is low. So this is the interface you'll be using, by the way. So when I hit send, this is exactly what you'll see with the 0.00226 Doge. And if I hit yes, that sends it over the network. And then we say that's sent. And if I open the other window that I'm not going to show you, you would see that arriving. So great, that's going through. The problem we've still got is getting the smart fees to actually initialize, and that takes a few blocks, unfortunately. It's kind of something that I would normally go away and maybe leave in the background. And maybe I have to do that here. Well, let's... Okay, so we're actually going to make a new branch. One for starting me's presets. Okay, yes. Use smart fee preset plays. Let's check out 114 smart fees. Push origin. I'm not too certain what we're going to do if I've just got several hours of testing smart fees, but I want to run it in the background. Ooh. Okay, let's tell Patrick that's done. Tell Dogecoin pools. Is that synced? Not yet. Doge for Doge. So Patrick's actually saying he'd rather it would... Oh, let me read this back so people can see it. So Patrick's saying rounding for ease of use is actually unnecessary and it raises costs, which makes sense. the fees are not estimated lower than the can be mined. We do that. And the fees are not grossly overestimated, which again they're not as which they are today. But the wallet providers also do that, so we're stabilizing these results, and then they will tick down. Oh, someone was asking about Oscar. That's a very good point. So Oscar came on stream a couple of weeks ago. His estimate was months. Again, it's an independent team, so as he updates me, like we will tell you. The very latest update from him, it was simply that he is using libdoge, which is a Java library I built, but there's no estimates on no updated delivery estimate from him right now. In terms of the devs working full time, I was actually asking about that today and going, look, we now have, I think, a reasonable upper bound estimate on taxes we might need to pay. Can we therefore take, and we know that we can't get a fiat bank account to pay devs yet, but can we start paying devs in Dogecoin while we sort the fiat bank account out and get that moving? So I'm hoping weeks, not months, is the answer. But it's partly down to the devs being comfortable that we have enough runway to pay them consistently as well. Cool. Okay. Now, how's this do here? Estimate smart fee 2. Yeah, still no data. That's frustrating. Okay, shut that one down. Well, that one's not mined yet. That's awkward. As is that. Okay. Well, keep in mind, it's not even just having the money. We also need to have a bank account to put the money into, because like we can't start having the money just go to individuals. There's reasonable concerns around that, and there's many solutions we're looking at about how we have a bank account for a cryptocurrency, but convincing the banks to deal with this is difficult. The problem is we're launching out of sequence. Normally, you would start with nothing, build a bank account, form a legal entity, get a bank account, all of this happening in the background. Then you get funding, then you bring people in. Because we've got a product that's launched and we have no people, the whole thing is out of sequence, and every step we need to explain what we're doing and fix things. Once we're going in the same direction as everyone else, it gets much easier. Basically how it works. Source Qt, Dogecoin 2, testnet. Let's try that again. In the background. And then what I'm going to do. Interesting. Am I in the right system? Dogecoin. Get info. Yeah, this is a testnet network system. Okay. So this one should. Oh. There we go. That's how it works. And then, so what this is set up to do is we'll start sending transactions over the network every minute. So you'll start seeing these in this testnet one in a second. Next task with that is it needs there we go, and it needs a miner set up with. I need to go off screen for a second just to set the miner running. Be right back. Sorry, I'm actually still here. Okay, interesting. Oh. Turns out I didn't even need to go away because actually someone very cleverly... not as cleverly as he thought it was. Someone very cleverly put the whole command they needed into a shell script. So rather than showing the command with the password on screen... Oh. But now it's telling me that it has the wrong password in it. Okay, so I do need to go off screen to do this, sorry. Well, that's the thing I've asked about, is can we just pay the devs directly in Dogecoins? But it's down to them, like they need to be comfortable that like they're going to be paid in a cryptocurrency, and like the tax implications for that are weird. Is that going to work? Oh, it's doing something. Yeah, there we go. So I am running a miner on the machine I'm streaming from, so the stream breaks. Sorry everyone, that's me. Here we go. Great. So you can see this here. It's a whole swarm of transactions coming through, and this is just going to tick over every kind of few blocks until some data comes out. Okay, we'll leave that running. That will be fine. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is we're trying to merge the latest updates from Bitcoin Core into 121. I did this earlier, and Patrick came back today and went, so did you have any conflicts? I did, as in things that they changed and things we both changed, and then Git went, I can't resolve these. So I need to identify what those are, and that's what I'm just going to do here. Branch or grep merge. And that test will keep running in the background. Git checkout. Test. Git merge v 0.21.2 C2. Huh. Tag or crap 1.2. Oh, I see. There's no hyphen in their version. Right, so the list of conflicts is this. And then we'll need to identify what each of those is. So I'm just keeping an eye on, so that one can go in the background. This one is the one I really care about because it's got more data going through it. Yeah, I would also say, like, your tax rate varies, of course, depending on what your income is. Like, everything I get is hit with over 40% tax. It sucks. It's well, I was gonna say I don't mind. I do stake, and that turns out to be a mistake as well because I'm paying a massive amount of tax on all the staking I do. HMRC, I hope you like me. Right, so merge. Had a few conflicts which I resolved conflicts in merge commit and test fixes in the follow on commits. Conflicts are I think the other thing is there's always this sort of impression that the developers are 20-somethings who have no sort of commitments or ongoing expenses. The reality is we've got a lot of developers who have commitments, potentially families in some cases, and so that's why they can't take the risk of, like, if you've got a 20-something who gets out of university and just sort of, can stay on their parents' in their parents' basement for a few months. If the funding doesn't go well, they can do a startup like that. We've got people who have families, and that's much more complicated. So there is no recovery process. No. So the whole thing with a cryptocurrency is that there is no central party who controls your funds. The downside to that is that there is no central party who controls your funds. If you've sent it to an address on a different chain and you have the key for it, I've seen that recovered occasionally. So, for example, I've seen someone somehow end up with creating a Dogecoin address, but for a private key on a different chain. You can then derive the Dogecoin. You can then sort of use that private key from a different chain to make a Dogecoin key and then move it. But if you sent it to someone who's completely the wrong person, you have to ask them for the money back, unfortunately. Essentially, it is digital cash. It's like dropping it into an envelope, addressing it to the wrong person and sending it, and that's the really unfortunate thing. The way I deal with this sort of thing is if I'm sending any large amount over the network, I will send a test amount first, just to make sure. This completely gets me flagged for KYC, so know your customer, anti-money laundering checks a lot, but I'd much rather that than potentially send all the money to the wrong person, unfortunately. I have been talking to a cryptographer who has some ideas on how blockchains in general could do recovery. There are some chains that look at doing an acceptance process. I think actually it's very similar, where what this cryptographer was suggesting, that you not just send it, but the recipient has to say, yes, I can handle this, so that you don't get accidental sendings as easily. You can't send it into the void anyway. But the engineering, it would be a massive rewrite to make it work, that you couldn't send it to just an arbitrary address. ABC asks a very good point. Interested in reviewing a PR to implement Dockerfile. Good point. I've seen that. I am not a Docker expert, which is a little bit why I've been avoiding it. But I can't really delegate it either, because I haven't got anyone else spare. I will try to take a look, ABC. If I haven't remembered by Sunday, nag me again at the start of stream, and I'll even try to do it on stream. Andreas, so I've had it be an issue with exchanges that if I send a small amount and then a bigger amount, it actually gets the whole account flagged for weird transactions, and then someone comes and checks it and he goes, oh, I see what you're doing, and then they okay it, but it's frustrating. It was because we disabled a broken test, which was since fixed. double check where that actually went to. And you can see these transactions continue to roll in, so I'm hoping if I actually minimize that one maybe and check the debug window, is it giving me any data yet? Still no data. 10 minutes later, that's frustrating. That's potentially concerning. It should have had some data by now. Right, so boost.mk. Yep. Is it? Wow. What will happen if someone hacked my phone or wallet phrase? My advice is don't keep too much on the phone. Like, if you're storing large amounts of Dogecoin, consider, for example, an encrypted thumb drive, and consider keeping that thumb drive in something like a bank safe. If you're storing more sensible amounts, I mean, the amount on your phone should typically be sort of what you're likely to spend day to day, because it's a device you're carrying. It's like carrying it in a wallet in cash. And then, anything, again, treat anything that holds Dogecoin like it was cash. So if you wouldn't carry more than, say, $10 in cash, don't keep that much on your phone, more than that on your phone. I use a hardware wallet, and I use encrypted thumb drives in a setup I'm not going to go into too much detail on, but there's sort of different things I do depending on exactly what I'm trying to achieve. In terms of two-factor authentication, two-factor authentication works by there being a value that you have and that a central party has, because you generate a value that you, based on the time, you take the value that you have and the central party takes the value they have. Both of you add a known timestamp, and then you produce a value from that. And if the two values match, the central party knows that you are the person with the two-factor authentication is the right person. Because there's no central party, we can't trivially do that on the Dogecoin blockchain. There's probably something that someone with a cryptography background can figure out that would do that. But like, if you have, again, we go back to the phone. Like, where would you keep a two-factor authentication code on? Because if you keep it on your phone, then it's still on your phone. If the answer is you would keep it as one piece on your PC and one piece on your phone, then maybe we can break the two keys into two halves, or have an address with two keys and you use both keys. That could work. But this is also where wallet providers actually become valuable, and where I know everyone goes, not your keys, not your money. But I'm less averse to that, because to me, for some people, it's going to be safer for them to use a wallet provider who will provide two-factor authentication than to keep the keys themselves. Like, if you can't get an encrypted thumb drive, if you can't keep it in a bank vault and you want to store a lot, then someone like Coinbase or Revolut, I think Revolut has Dogecoin, may be a better option for you. We don't know how many nodes are hosted on cloud services and what might happen if there was an issue with a provider. No. We do know, one of the things that Dogecoin is very good at is working on home PCs. So potentially, yes, if Google Cloud or Amazon Cloud or Azure had a massive outage, we could lose a significant chunk. But we would still, I think, remain operational, very much recoverable. In particular, mining is banned on cloud providers, so the miners have to be running their own nodes anyway. Or so technically they could structure it in a very complicated way. Realistically, I think they have to be running their own nodes on their own hardware. So the network might slow down, but it should always keep functioning. Right, how is this doing? Still not giving me estimates. Oh, come on. Okay. Right. So the tests we're running are just going to take a long time to run. It looks like. So this has been producing data for a while now, but that's just going to keep running. I just need to come in and see in a few hours, has this produced useful data? Unfortunately, it does take a while with the Dogecoin fees to produce enough data to analyze, and I think that will be before I go to bed, but it may not be in a useful time frame for you guys. Let me hop over to YouTube. There we go. And answer some of the questions. Sorry, YouTube is the view I have because it's got Lo-Fi Girl in the background. So I'm realizing Lo-Fi Girl is not credited on my YouTube channel. That is very bad of me. I will fix that after this. ABC asked, why do you contribute to Dogecoin? Yeah, it is a hobby. So the job I've been doing for a number of years has not involved a lot of coding. At the moment, I get to write actually quite a lot amount of code, But that's going to very quickly change. I'll be writing architecture documents, thinking about long-term strategy plans. I'm moving away from coding. Dogecoin lets me write code, basically. And that's how I got into it. Well, I got into it partly because it was fun and an interesting challenge. Partly needed some portfolio work, and I want to be very open about that because I get people saying, I think you're in this for the self-promotion. And I'm a bit, yes, like I said that. But it is, like, it's a hobby. This is what I do, several evenings and some weekends. And that's also partly why, like, it takes a while to review things. Like, I can't even remember what happened on Monday night. I know Monday was crazy. And then Tuesday, like, I started at 9 a.m. I finished at 11:30 p.m. between other things going on. That's why nothing got reviewed. Tonight's quieter. Tomorrow I'm in the gym. Friday, I can't remember what's going on. Oh, I'm doing one-to-ones. Again, this is the thing, is it's not all code. I do mentoring. I do code reviews. I do sort of legal analysis. We have people who, I can't talk about any of that. It'll come out soon, but yeah. Or the press will ask for questions. They'll want to talk about, can we do an interview on X, and we need to make time for that. So that's the sort of things that take up all this time, and it's why the reviews don't always go as fast as I would like. Yeah. Oh, excellent. Yeah, Revolut has Dogecoin. That's good. Okay, I'm going to hop back one more time. See if this is now actually going to give me any... Nope. Really? Can I get any details out of why? Testnet tail debug. Nope. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to shut that down for a second, because then I can cd Dogecoin qt cd development Dogecoin source qt Dogecoin testnet debug equals, what's it called? More source fee policy fees.cp log estimate. That was it. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm running it again, but with debug enabled. That should give me some more detail on what's going on behind the scenes, and then I can look at whether the feeds are actually starting to build up. I just need to give this a couple of hours, or if it's a bit more in trouble. Cool, so that's coming up. Estimate smart feed 2. Okay. Oh, right. That's a bit noisy. Let's try it again. There we go. So what this doing is checking what's happening in the different data buckets. But none of these is actually full enough, it looks like. Yeah, it's just saying it's not yet full enough. So there's going to be another couple of hours of collecting data, and then it will be able to confirm that the fee rate is right. Great, we'll ship it, and if not, we'll have to look at that later. I am going to wrap up there, I think. So, thank you very much everyone for coming. Sunday's stream will be with Hack Club again. So if you remember a couple of weeks ago, I had a kid from Hack Club on, Ishan. He's back. We're going to be doing some more coding on multi-signature address usage in Dogecoin. For those of you talking about two-factor authentication, this is actually really interesting there, because one way to do two-factor, and again, if you wanted to have your phone and your desktop, would be to have different keys on your phone and your desktop use a multi-signature address, so you two signing keys multi-signature, and have your phone and your desktop talk to each other. So they say, like your desktop says, do you want to sign this? And you say yes, and then your phone says, okay, I've got a request on the desktop to sign this. Do you want to sign it? And you say, yes, I really do. And then it signs it. That would be the sort of thing that we could look at long term. And that would be how you would do multi-factor authentication on a blockchain, if you were interested. So that will be Sunday. I believe it's 8 p.m. UK. Yeah, it's an 8 p.m. UK time start, because he's in US time zones. And that will be back over on Twitch. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. And I will... oh, sorry, ABC is asking a question. So I want to involve myself less, actually. No, the idea is we're going to hire other developers. So we've got 2 developers in mind. One of them an existing contributor, but unfortunately their job is very, very busy right now. And one more of a strategic lead who's already involved. But again, we want to give them the ability to work full-time on this. My role in my day job is sort of a middle tier thing that just doesn't exist in a small startup. So it's not cost effective. Like we can hire probably 2 devs for what you'd have to pay me to market rates. So I want to sort of hand over to them and get them the ability to do this full time. I'll still be here doing my streams, doing the engagement, but it should be back down to a nice safe hobby level for me, while they'll be full time taking the charge on it. Does that make sense? Yeah, so it's doing this part time. Well, not part time, hobby time. Like it should be. The target for this is probably 6 to 8 hours a week for me. So probably about 4 hours on stream, and then about the same amount of time in admin overheads, advice, mentoring, that sort of thing. That is the stuff that only I can do, because there's not a lot that only I can do. There's a few things, but there's not a lot, and it doesn't make sense to have me 40 hours a week at my rate when we can get 8 hours a week for free because I quite enjoy it, and then have other people for 80 hours a week. That's just going to make 2 of them for 40 hours a week each, not 80 hours each. Hopefully that makes sense. But yes, in summary, sorry about your review, ABC. If it hasn't happened by the start of... Oh, good grief. My Sunday stream is the Hack Club one. I will try to get to it soon. I'm sorry. I'll make a note. Okay, I'm going to drop off. Thanks everyone for coming. I'm going to go make more tea. Have a great evening all.